Welcome to Amplified Intelligence, the podcast where we help you keep up with the sci-fi future we are all currently living in. Everything's moving faster than ever, and each week we're trying to break down the bleeding edge technologies that are fundamentally rewriting our reality. Today we're opening up a massive research dossier on what we're calling the synthetic media singularity. We're going to be discussing the earth-shattering launch of ByteDance's Dance 2 video generator, Hollywood's frantic legal scramble to survive, and the profound sort of existential danger that media studios like the one I run are kind of facing right now. So, Pietro, I'd love to just get a real quick sort of feeling temperature check on generational video, generational entertainment, and how you feel about it.
Oh boy, I've got lots to say about this. As you know, John, this is what we've been doing at Transitional Forms for a long time. And I've kind of based my career on interactive media and like nonlinear media. And I think that it bothers me when we talk about slop and how it's just it's just going to fill a bunch of servers with nonsense. I think that there's so much more power to like do things that we've never done before in media, to unlock human imagination. That there's a whole camp of things that I'd love to talk about there. But ultimately, I think we're in an ugly baby stage of media right now, where we're trying to fit a round peg in a square hole. When TV came out, it was like radio on TV, right?
Right.
And
when theater was on TV.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're just kind of transplanting all the ecosystems and the mechanisms and the way that traditional media, and I'll say traditional media as like linear flattened media, we're trying to fit AI media, generative media, dynamic media in that box, and it's not working. And so people are getting freaked out. But the future, it's going to be very different. There's going to be no media will be static. No media will be linear. It'll all be adaptive to us. And the ecosystems don't exist now to serve that media, to have everything be a real-time simulation, but that's coming, and it'll all make sense when that hits. But until we get there, it's going to feel awkward and weird.
I think I feel, similar to you, the work that I do day to day, having run a video production and animation studio for a really long time. We came up in like the YouTube world, right? We came up in the sort of like creator culture. And a lot of what we were doing at the time, especially in the early days on YouTube, like when our studio first started working on Crash Course and shows like that, and they started, getting really popular, it was kind of like, oh, like anyone can produce content now. And, there was this sort of like really beautiful enablement where, you didn't have to be a big production television studio anymore. You didn't have to be a big film studio anymore.
And you could get it right to the audience directly.
Yeah.
Like what a revolution.
Go direct to the audience. Yeah. And
John, you're being shy because you are a pioneer of that space. Like what you did with Crash Course and at Thought Café, you guys really pioneered that medium, and you see it being replicated everywhere now. So I hope you guys are super proud of that.
No, absolutely. It was a really incredible time. And I think that there's a new generation of that's going to come out of these new generative tools.
Yes. Absolutely.
We sit at an interesting place where I think, from my standpoint, I love everything about the capabilities of the generative tools, the generative video. But I am still a bit aghast at the sort of intellectual property issues around, like,
of course,
what was this stuff trained on? Was there any permission for that? About a year ago, I think I was like, well, there's no way that there's not going to be huge IP challenges to some of this content, to some of these foundation model companies that are, creating these models. But I'm sort of not sure that that's actually going to happen. It's sort of like the Wild West. There's sort of this idea right now in sort of the world of AI that it's a race and we have to allow for like no regulation and like we can't worry about all of these problems. And so let's just go. So I think that really creates feeling amongst myself and probably amongst our our collaborators, our employees, like our illustrators, animators, like everybody, where we want the enablement and the excitement and the creative ability that these tools give us,
Yeah.
but we're worried about like betraying the artists and incredible creatives that these models are kind of ripping off in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind
It's
of
like,
scary.
and we
Totally.
kind of feel protective of each other as creatives too. We need to value the human craft that went into training these models more than we are. But what did you say you wouldn't think would happen?
I I guess I just assumed that there would be a flurry of like legal action from film distribution companies, from rights holders, from IP holders, and I just don't know that that's actually going to happen, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And
Unless
and
they're
we've
just
all
taking one at a time, like, okay, we'll attack Suno while you guys attack OpenAI, and
right.
you guys go
Yeah.
for Google, and you guys go for Midjourney. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, it's very clear, that when you look at some of these models that they're trained on, IP that they've just taken from YouTube or they've just taken from, videos that exist somewhere. And I think that's just a challenge, right? I know we've both explored this a lot, but there's such a difference between the big foundational models, like the one we're going to talk about today, Dance 2, and something like a Adobe Firefly video model, which they've come out and said we're only training this on video and content that we have rights to,
Yeah. Yeah.
though there's some questions around that, so it's still a little bit loose, but there's such a difference between those outputs. Like one is like barely usable because it's not trained on enough,
Yeah.
and then the ones that are really great and are amazing tools, you're like, well, I'm ripping off all these people that didn't agree to have their content trained.
Yes. It's a dilemma for sure.
Yeah.
And you're right. There's a huge difference between those models now.
One of the interesting things about like what we want to talk about, with our supportive amplification agent today, is really like, I think we've all been watching these video models progress, and I think it's been kind of like a fun little joke for the moment, right? Like, I love that my nephew or my cousin or my aunt can kind of make a funny video for like a birthday gift or like a
Yes.
birthday card, using Sora or something. I think that's hilarious, right? I think having stuff on social media, like I think that's fine as long as you're not trying to do some sort of like you know political deep fake or something. But I think this release of some of the clips we're going to watch today really sort of turned the page, certainly for like Hollywood high-end blockbuster productions, where it's like, oh no, this is no longer like kind of AI slop that's visible a mile away.
Yeah. This
High
isn't for holiday cards. This
Right.
is going to be disruptive.
This is a
Like
product
the
that
oh
you
shit
can make
moment.
for, probably a few $1,000s of time, a few $100s of time with a good creative potentially that normally would have cost $1 million. We're talking about an exponential shift in cost
Yes.
and democratization. And I think Hollywood should be, very concerned about that. But at the same time, to what you were talking about later, maybe that means we're just going to get way more movies and way more stuff.
Yeah, movies and books never went away, when the internet came out.
Hmm.
Candles never went away when the light bulb came out. Movies will always be there. Theater will always be there. It might even be, it will be more celebrated as a special, the craft of it and whatnot. That goes to with any human art. I think that like paintings will become more valuable in a world where anyone can push a button and
Mm-hmm.
make a painting. The craft and the value of the art isn't going to go away, but this is this disruptive moment to figure out
Yeah.
what's next and how media evolves in a new format that's not competing with movies at all.